Hello, everybody. I'm Julie Huck with the Agent of Change platform and also the Ed Huck team. And I have Ed Huck here today with me from the Ed Huck team and also my husband. Welcome.
Hi, Jules.
Thank you for joining me. It was really difficult actually to get him on my show today. I'll call it a
That's
show. Is it
mean.
a show? It's a show.
That's I don't know. Is that makes me sound like I'm a
You're
jerk that I
busy.
didn't have enough time to make this happen.
Maybe we both didn't have enough time to
There we
make this
go. It
happen.
was exactly. It
We
was.
had a little bit of a wild couple weeks with some, family stuff. And, the thing is we live in this beautiful industry where we can, kind of create our own schedule. And when family needs arise, it's really important to remember that your family is first. And then what? What do you always
Well,
say
it's
to me?
God, family, business, right? So that's what um, Keller Williams preaches, and we really hold that true in our lives too. Is that there's always going to be more time. Well, maybe not always more time. There's time left for business, right? But your family comes before your business. So unfortunately, you haven't had a chance to make this. You missed a week. So which I know you were struggling with the fact that you missed a week, and we had a lot of family stuff on our plate with my dad and other things that are happening in our lives. So we got to put that 1st.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate you always reminding me of that because I know sometimes other things can feel more important. And that goes back to the urgency versus importance scale. Gosh, we
Well,
could just go back to
it's
all of
deep.
it.
It's deep. It's deeper than that. But maybe we're not going to go right there right now as far as why we all want to get those boxes checked off and what's making why that feels so good and why that can sometimes trump spending time with family or faith or whatever.
Well, yeah, and I think I will say the last couple of weeks have been a little bit of a trial for me to just really relax and do what's most important, get those things done, and let the rest go. And you can't live your whole life like that constantly, but there are seasons in your life where that's just what you need to do.
Right?
And somehow, some way, it always does fall into place and the things always get done. And we just have to kind of relax into that. And it's been a really big growth period for me with that. And I think, so I just want to ask you quickly, what are you up to? What kinds of things are you reading before we dig into our topic today?
Yeah. So I was just listening to a great podcast I listen to a lot of podcasts. One of them was Tim Ferris, and he had on Arthur C. Brooks, who just is out promoting his book that just came out. I've not read the book yet because it just came out. He co-wrote it with Oprah. So it's Build the Life You Want. And we actually showed a TED talk that Arthur Brooks had just recently done, and we'd shared it with our team yesterday. Actually, at our team meeting, it was just like a 10 or 15-minute TED talk where he dives into some of the topics from the book. But one of the ones that really gets your attention, and it'd be better if I had a whiteboard behind me, but talked about how satisfaction, we're always craving this. Mick Jagger, I can't get no satisfaction, right? We're craving satisfaction. And we kind of have the equation for satisfaction wrong right now. Society tells us satisfaction equals halves. When you get this, I'll feel satisfied, and we've all strived to attain something, whether it's the new car, the dress, the shoes, whatever it happens to be, even the relationship, right? And you get it, and it's like, wait a second, I was only satisfied for the last minute, right? Or 2 minutes. That new car smell wears off after a week or two. So he says that's not, even though society tells you that's what you should be striving for to get satisfaction, it really should be satisfaction equals as an equation. And back to old elementary school math, it's have. So the stuff that you have divided by the things that you want. And society says, again, keep getting more halves to get this number larger. He suggests, well, why don't you just appreciate what you have and make your wants smaller? So if you continue to appreciate your halves and get the wants, do I really need to have the fill in the blank to feel satisfied? That's another way to actually have this feeling of satisfaction that we're all kind of striving for. But worth the time to either listen to the Ferris podcast, or actually he's been on some other podcasts recently, or go watch the TED Talk, or just go grab his book. Arthur C. Brooks. He's actually a professor at Harvard. I think it was Harvard. Yeah, he's like a happiness professor. His whole life has been dedicated to understanding the psychology and physiologically, the physics behind it, or the biology even behind it too. So it's really interesting stuff. Highly recommend it.
That's awesome. I love it.
What have you been up to?
Well,
I know are you shivering?
I am shivering. I'm trying to stay warm. I did my cold plunge this morning, and I've been listening to the Andrew Huberman podcast about hot and cold immersion and hot and cold therapy and what it does for your body and your mind. And honestly, there is something pretty powerful about 2 to 3 minutes. I actually did 5 minutes today. It was really weird. I just felt really good in there. But now I'm feeling it now.
Water? In the cold water, you mean?
Yeah, 38 degrees. Plunge to your neck. And
what are, like, give me 3 things you've noticed since you've been doing it.
There's something, number one, I feel really powerful. It kind of unleashes this kind of like an inner beast.
Oh boy. Oh no.
I'm so strong and powerful.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh, we're so supposed to be talking about databases today.
We will.
That's okay. We'll get there. No, it really does. It reminds you like just how powerful your body is, and your when your mind is pretty strong too. And it kind of unleashes that like, hey, I can do anything mentality. And it's just a couple minutes in really freezing cold water. It also completely boosts my dopamine levels, but it also has a calming effect. So I have more energy and more clarity, but I'm much calmer. Like I don't feel like that anxiety that you can feel, especially with, Ed's father has had some really serious health issues and dealing with cancer and in the ICU, and there's all kinds of things going on, which can be, we've spent a lot of time in the hospitals, and that's really overwhelming. And God bless every doctor and nurse and people who live in that world every day of their lives. But anyways, it kind of has this calming effect. And then, my metabolism is boosted. Inflammation is gone. I had a really hard workout yesterday. And I was super sore, and I'm not sore right now. It just like kind of takes away
because you can't feel your toes. That's why.
Yeah. Hey, whatever it takes.
I will tell you, at least one person on our team has noticed, just recently had mentioned that you're always peppy and full of energy already. She said that you're even like that dial's gotten turned up some more. They've noticed that you even have even more energy and pep in your step. So,
well, I mean, I do drink coffee too. So
yeah,
I don't know. It just, I think, well, you and I have been doing a lot of personal work and really, just understanding ourselves and revealing ourselves to ourselves and all of the things that we've been doing. And I think this cold plunge it seems so simple, but it's so powerful. So if anyone wants to know more about it, let me know. I found this awesome studio here in Westlake, and it's very convenient to pop in and out of. So anyway, that's what I'm up to. So if you see me shivering, that's Good stuff. All right. So Ed, let's talk about the importance of our database.
Okay.
If there was a poster or a billboard about databases, I would put your face on it, because you are the database spokesman of, the real estate industry, and there's a reason for that. So can you talk to us just about why you're so passionate about building a database and the importance of it?
So, they don't tell you this in real estate school. And our job as realtors or any entrepreneurs, so right, we're all now entrepreneurs, we're all business people, whether you're on a team or not, you're still an independent contractor, and you're out there trying to get new business. And your job every day is to wake up and find new business. Mm-hmm. The way to systematize that, and it's the whole entrepreneurial to purposeful. So a lot of us sales naturally, it's called natural born salespeople, which I actually was not, or I'm not, are scrappy. They can go get a deal here, I can go get a deal here, I can go get a sale here, etc. When the market's hot, you can get by with that. You can go sell 20, 25, 30 houses and just be scrappy and don't have any systems in place to make that consistent.
Right.
What you start to see year after year, though, as the industry goes up and down, as far as the number of available homes to sell goes up and down, you'll have years where you might do 20 sales, the next year you do 5. Next year you'll do 15, the year after you do 4. And you can't have a life that way, right? So you're doing a nice amount of sales and actually making good income to starving to death, right? So a database will help make your business and turn it into purposeful, meaning you'll now have systems and checklists and procedures around how to maintain your business year in and year out. So my personality style always has kind of leaned towards that anyway, as opposed to I'm not your prototypical, stereotypical realtor, that busts into the room and it's, hey, the realtor's here, and, chit-chatting with everybody and all that. So I've built our career on a database. And for the past 25 at least years, I've had a huge database. Every time I meet somebody, talk to somebody, come into contact with somebody, I get as much information as I can, and they go right into our database. We've changed the name, and a lot of you have heard this before. It's now a data bank. So it's a bank of customers, relationships that you have. And there's a few rules that go along with the database. It's first you have to create it, you have to pick one. And I think that's where a lot of new people sometimes get hung up, is there's so much technology around databases. Which one am I going to use? And I'm going to use this, I'm going to use that. The third, the best database is a database that you're going to use. It could be 3x5 index cards. If you like to work that way, I wouldn't suggest it. But if you do, it could be an Excel. What's that? It used to be, right?
Not in today's time. Be
No,
a lot more efficient.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, even Gary Keller, that's how he started, right? It was a box of names and phone numbers. And yeah, but when you put them in there, okay, the Joneses, I just talked to them. Well, I'm going to put them into my folder that says to call them in December, anyway.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. But number one is to find one that you are going to work with and use. And there's a million of them out there right now, and there's some amazing ones. So
I would say most of our brokerages offer a version of it, because you're paying, I know Keller Williams, you're paying your broker's fee and you get an awesome database. And I've talked to other brokerages. They all have a version.
Yeah, again, that can be a great way to go. It could be Follow Up Boss, it could be Boomtown. I mean, there's just a ton of different ways to do it. And the great part about that is now I think people get hung up on where do I build it? Most of them, I guess that would be one thing to think about, is wherever you start building it, make sure you can move it. So I know if you build it at, say, KW, if you ever need to export those people into anything, you can. So we at one point, we were building it inside of software called Top Producer. Then we moved to Keller Williams platform. And then just for the way we were set up, and this is a couple of years ago, it wasn't robust enough because we use it at a high level. So we moved it out of there to a different software, and we could do that pretty seamlessly. So I would say wherever you start building it, just make sure you can move it in and out. And actually we could, now that Keller Williams platform is probably robust enough for us to handle, we probably could move everybody right back into it seamlessly. So just make sure you can easily move it around. So choosing where to build it is important. And then you have to start building it, right? And building it by, I mean, you have to start getting a hold of names, email addresses, and phone numbers of everybody you know. And since we're having this more of a conversation, what are our team standards, Julie, around this, and how passionate we are about this, and what we know about this? I mean, I'm asking you, what's our new standard that we came up with?
Our new standard is, as we partner with new agents who join our team, anyway, and it's just selectively partnering with new agents we're in alignment with, it's very important that they start with at least 100 complete, contacts in a database. And I've had many conversations with people, and the reason that has become a new standard is because we know and believe, especially the way our team is set up, that is how they're going to be successful more quickly. We know that that's the foundation of your entire business. And a lot of people kind of push back a little bit. They don't understand why, because I always say, just start with an Excel spreadsheet. I don't care, that's where you're going to start, an Excel spreadsheet, because most of the time those can be uploaded into an actual CRM. And I'll say, just start dumping every single person that you know, that if you called them, they would pick up the phone and say, "Oh, hi, Ed, good to hear your voice." Or, "Oh, hi, Ed." They just know who you are. You don't have to be best friends or anything like that, but they would know you. And there are so many people that can go into that. So just really start jogging your brain. And a lot of times people don't realize how many people they actually do have in that list. You don't think about it, but when you look at your phone and you look at your social media platforms, but people will push back and be like, well, why would I put them in a database? Like, I don't want to be a pushy agent to my friends and family. And really the response is, those are the people who already know, like, and trust you. And we are a business to consumer relationship. I mean, we are building relationships, and that's what we're doing. So those are the people we want. We want to continue to build those relationships with and continue to build trust with. And those are the people that eventually, when they do have a real estate need, will either refer us someone they know or use us for their real estate needs. And 100, except for when I joined the team, it was 200. So seems a little unfair.
Exactly. Well, that was a little bit different. We know.
Well, that was the recession.
Let's talk about that for a second. So first you have to build it, and the math, the beautiful part about this is it's all in the path is in the math. That just popped up into my head, a meeting we had the other day. And it's so true that we know that if you can start with 100 folks in your data bank, your database, and start cultivating those relationships, you will be much more, your chance of success greatly increases. And it's been interesting as we've talked to agents, there's a lot of newer agents that have gotten in the industry that now we're all finding it really tough, that because the market's shifted, and there's now, there's almost 40%, there's like 35% less available transfers. So less available opportunities to make a commission this year than 2 years ago. So that's
significant.
That's a crazy number to be down as far as number of available transfers. And there's more realtors now this year than there was 2 years ago. So which makes the math even harder to get a sale. So what that means is you now need more people in your database. So we know that this 100 is just the beginning. At the end of year 1, you need to have 200. So if you have 200 people in your database that there's 4 laws of databases. One is build it. So this is what you're doing at the beginning. And we know if you build it and get to 200, then you start communicating with it, right? So you build it out in a software, you start feeding it with your people. So that's law number 2. You start communicating with it and have systems in place. And that's where I think people get hung up on is maybe I don't need a database. I talk to these people all the time. You really don't. You think you do, but if you look through your phone and you looked at every one of your contacts in your phone, you might, if you really, really started thinking about it, time flies, right? People, stuff happens. You think you just talked to so and so, and it's like, wait a minute. So we're thinking about having friends over this weekend. We have not gotten together with them probably in 6 months, right? And really sat down and it's just time flies. Summer happens. They've got kids. We've got kids and travel and everything. So, point being is, we also have a system in place in our database that we're communicating with these folks, even though we haven't seen them in a while. They've gotten emails. They've got invited to parties. They've gotten freebie stuff. They're going to get a pie for this, an invite to pick up their pie at Thanksgiving. There's all kinds of things, ways to communicate with it. And that's a whole nother class we should have, or topic we should have, is how to communicate with your database. Actually, each one of these could be broken into a whole hour topic, but you need to communicate it at a high level, and then you need to service it. And servicing is the fun part, right? That's everybody thinks I'm going to go to show houses and list houses. And you don't get to service any customers until you've communicated with them and earned the right to service them, right? To show them your value and provide this service relationship where you're going to, find them a great house and negotiate on their behalf. But none of this servicing part happens. And this is the challenge with HGTV and all the Selling Sunset and all the rest of these shows, is they just show the servicing. Nobody shows wait a minute, I need to communicate with these folks on a regular basis and earn the right to be their realtor. And I need to feed the database, every month to make sure that I'm adding new people into this database. And I need to have a database in the first place. What do you mean I need to have a database? I don't know. I can barely run a computer, right? So if you can put all these into place, your business can survive anything. We've survived the crash of 2008. Fine. It was still rough, right? We had to do more dials and do more prospecting to sell the same amount of houses. And that was a different time, because not only were there less homes to sell, values tanked. Values fell 40%. So what happens when value falls, Julie? Our commissions fall.
Okay. Right? I'm like, right. I don't know.
Exactly. So not only obviously our commissions are based on sale prices, right?
Right.
So all of a sudden, back in 2008, we lost probably more than 40% of the number of sales that had dropped, because so many of them were actually then bank owns and short sales. And the values dropped, values dropped 25 to 40%. So all of a sudden there's way less homes and the commissions went way down. So it was tough going. That being said, though, because we had a database in place, we're fine. And I know, everybody on our team's fine. Our business overall is going to be fine. And the fun part about this is, when the market does shift like this, for all those folks that don't have a database, guess who's they're going to be calling? Our customers are going to be calling us. And because these other agents are asleep at the wheel, their past customers are going to be calling us too, because they're not communicating and staying in relationship with those folks. So
yeah, again, you just literally said it, staying in relationship.
Right. Yeah, that's what
it is. It's as simple as that. We're just staying in relationship. Like if I have good friends and I never ever talk to them or text them or call them or see them, I'm not in relationship with them anymore, because I've given no effort to this friendship. Right. So why on earth would we continue our friendship if they feel we've given no effort. It's kind of the same thing with our clients, right?
100%. And this may sound trite, but even with friendships, you're providing each other value, right? And that's what the way we look at our relationship with our customers is we're always providing value. You know, very rarely do we pick up the phone and call our database and say, hey, Julie, how you doing? This is Ed. Who do you know that needs to buy a home, sell a home, invest in real estate that I can call today? You
Right.
should do that. You should do that. And you should be able to do that once you've earned the right.
Right.
Ask that question by providing a whole bunch of value to your sphere. And we do that a whole bunch of different ways. And that is going to be, we'll do that. We'll do
Well,
it.
and you know, it's funny because, yeah, I mean, if I'm a friend who's always calling and asking for things, like the only time I call you is when I need something, in, you know, that gets pretty old pretty fast, right? But if I'm a friend who asks, how is your day? How are you doing? How can I help you? How are your kids? Could I take them for the weekend or whatever?
Yes, you can. You can take our kids for the weekend.
Hey, by the way, friends, you could call us and ask us that. No, we love our children. And so, but the thing is if they call, like, then at some point, if I said, hey, you know what, I have a favor to ask you. Do you know anyone who's looking to buy or sell a home? It wouldn't feel awkward. It would be like, hey, no, I don't, because they wouldn't feel like all I do is take. It's a two-way street, and that's a relationship.
Right.
That is a unselfish relationship. And that's what we're striving for with every single person in our database. And that's our job. I mean, it sounds exhausting. Oh, that's a lot. That's hard work. That is literally our job. And if you don't like keeping up with relationships, you know, we implement systems, we implement a database, we implement efficiency so that we can leverage some of that, especially as your database grows. But it's all about human conversations and contact, right, Ed?
Yeah.
Can you speak on that a little bit? Because I know some people leverage too much and think that they're utilizing their database.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can leverage, you know, the email. So we had here's we don't want this video to go too long. And at the same point, there's
it's good stuff. It's okay. People will just stop listening if it's too long.
Good point. If you're tired of listening us yak, shut us off. A lot of times we get in our own heads around how, you know, we don't want to be the pushy realtors or pushy salespeople. And we were just in a group where somebody had mentioned, I don't want to create a database and send out a bunch of e-newsletters because I hate getting e-newsletters. Well, guess what? A lot of folks open those things. We've got on our e-newsletter, I think we've got a 20% open rate or 25% open rate.
No, it's like 30 to 35.
It's really high. And do I open a lot of e-newsletters? Nah, sometimes I do if there's something in there that catches me. But for the folks that I continue to see value from, I won't unsubscribe. I'll just delete them, right? So I know now that we have, oh my gosh, I think we just looked at it. I forget what the numbers, it's huge. Number of people that receive our e-newsletter and huge open rate. And yeah, sure, a ton of people delete. And every once in a while we'll get a bunch of people, you know, that unsubscribe, but that's okay. I mean, that's you have to get out of your own head and realize that just because you don't like it doesn't mean they don't like it. And you can't just rely on all the electronics. So yes, we have an e-newsletter. Yes, we still use postcards. Yes, we still send print mail, right? We send calendars. There's our, you know, we do, again, all these events. And no, we still pick up the phone. I think that's, you know, and we look at our Facebook and Instagram as another version of your database. It's also a neat way to get engagement and talk with everybody. And yes, we still do text messages too. I think, you know, especially for anybody under 35, they love to text probably even more than phone calls. We can go down that rabbit hole and see the pros and cons of that. But at least if you're texting often and calling often, and often is 3-4 times a year, you know, it's not, you know, and usually when we're making a call or a text, we're providing value. You know, hey, we're having this seminar, this workshop on first-time home buyers. Who do you know that needs to, should be buying a house in today's market or needs to buy a house in today's market, even though interest rates are at 7.5%, 8%, there's still buyers that need to buy right now. And hey, let's help coach them through the pros and the cons and do a buyer analysis, needs analysis appointment with them. So
strategy session.
Always session, yeah, exactly. We changed that. So but anyway, it's being engaged,
right?
Not just with the technology, but coming with the human touch. And even here's a great call. So let's say in our database, I have people tagged by the careers as well. So tag is how you can kind of keep track of your folks in your database. And the better you have your database defined, meaning I know where Julie works, I know what her birthday is, I know what her favorite color is. She happened to tell me she likes purple and she likes whatever. The deeper you have the knowledge of your customer and your friends, the better relationship you can have. If I knew everybody that our database that worked in the auto industry, we'd be picking up the phone right now and calling them and saying, hey, with the strike that's going on, how you doing? How you feeling? What can we help you with? Do a check-in call to see really how they're feeling and doing with it. You're nervous, you might get laid off. Or I have a friend in marketing that knows that I was in the Air Force. He knows I was a C-130 aircraft mechanic. He might even be watching this. And I know he manages his database really well. Mm. And once or twice a year, I will get an email or a text with an article that says, hey, Ed, thinking about you. Look what they're doing. I just heard about this new variant of the C-130 aircraft they came out with. Let me know what you think. And he sent it to me. I know I popped up in his database that said, hey, contact Ed today. He took 2 minutes, went and searched for an article about C-130 and sent it to me. Mm-hmm. I know that that's to happen, but guess what? When I get that article, it still makes me feel warm and fuzzy. I still usually go back and read it, and I spend 5 minutes or maybe go down some rabbit hole and spend 30 minutes reliving my time in the Air Force, right? So even though it is systematized, and I even know that this is all systematized, it still makes me feel warm and fuzzy. So I think that's another reason, I think we need to get out of our own heads a lot of times when it comes to building it and communicating with it. It's still very, very effective.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be the number one thing that I hear with newer agents or people getting into this industry is just a lot of limiting beliefs, self-inflicted limiting beliefs. Right. And so I would love to rewrite those limiting beliefs and challenge you all to realize, when you're on the other side, like Ed just explained, that's a pretty powerful relational connection. And, if he was a real estate agent and Ed had a house to sell,
I'm calling him.
He's calling him because he feels connected and he trusts him and he likes him. And so just get on.
People work with people
own way.
Right? People work with people they know, like, and trust.
Oh, for sure. And that's our job. And so what would you say, say I'm an agent who is either brand new to the industry, has been in the industry a few years and was just trying to figure it all out, let alone build a database. No one ever told them to build a database. What are you even talking about? Or I've heard about it, but it totally overwhelms me. What would you say to those agents? How would you tell them to start with, so they're not completely overwhelmed and take no action?
Start small, start simple, start with your phone, right? Take everybody in your phone and open up a Google sheet or an Excel sheet and just start putting name, email, address, phone number.
Yeah. Everybody. So those are the things
and how you know them.
Email, address, phone number.
And I might even then start to think a little bit about, okay, is this a family member? Is this a friend? Is this a past coworker? How do I know this person? And how could what category would I be able to use to easily look them up? Can I look? So we, in our database, have a Christmas card list. We have a families tagged in there. So if we want to send a quick email out to everybody in our family, we can look them up in our database and bang, send an email out that way. So start doing that there, but just keep it simple. Use your phone, use your wedding announcement list, go back to Facebook, just go start pulling up every friend on Facebook and start instant messaging them and saying, hey, you know, you can look up their address probably if you know their name. You probably have their phone number if you're friends with them on Facebook. So all you might be missing is an email. So you can, you know, go back and start getting that. And that's your job. I mean, for your first year or two, your job is to just build, add everybody you can. And then once you've already gone through all those people on Instagram, whatever social media platform you use, then your job is just to continue to add people, host open houses, door knock on those open houses, and get everybody's email and address and phone number that you come into contact around those open houses when you're door knocking before the open house. And we have, you know, dialogues on people like, oh no, I'm not going to ask anybody, you know, if I'm door knocking. There's conversations you can have to provide value to those folks that are door knocking to get that information. So
well, and I would say when we just recently added 2 new people to our team, and actually they're fresh in this business, which I'm very excited about. And I challenged them and they said, hey, you know, until you have 100 people, we cannot partner together, because I know that that's what's going to take for you to be really successful. And I want you to be really successful. Don't you want to be really successful? I mean, you're not doing all this to not make money and to be out of the business in a year or 2, right? I mean, we're doing this for a long-term, awesome, big life career, right? That's what we're doing it for. And it took both of them about 2 weeks. And really what they did was it was just a lot of focus on it, and sending out text messages and just saying, hey, I'm just updating my contact list and I realize I don't have your address or your email. Could I get that? And people are like, yeah, sure, here you go. I mean, it really wasn't a big deal. They didn't have to do this whole explanation of I'm new in real estate and here's what I'm doing. It was just like, hey, can I get your contact?
right.
I mean, you could take that stance. Hey, I just started a new career and I'm really excited about it, and I'd love to have your contact information so that I can stay in touch with you, and on a lot of cool things happening in this industry. That was another way that people have done it, but it really only took them 2 weeks. And so I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by, I don't have time for this, I'm busy, blah, 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 blah. Right. This is the most important thing if you want longevity in this business. It's the foundation of this house that you're building. It really is.
True. I mean, and I think whether you're interviewing me or there's plenty of other folks that have got the, you know, again, the laws are building it. We could do a whole one on the pros and cons to a bunch of these different software platforms. You just talked about feeding it. We could you know, talk about deeply how to go deep on feeding it, because now I've got my 150 in there. How do I get another 100 in there? You know, we talk about that. We could talk about deep ways to communicate with it, and then, you know, servicing it. That's a whole nother topic too.
That's just selling real estate.
That's a selling estate. Yeah, but
you know, which we're constantly learning that part, right? Yeah. Well, this has been really, really helpful, Ed. And I know, like he said, it's the tip of the iceberg. It's just hey, news alert, 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 alert. This is so important. And we are in a market where it is our job to find people who need to buy or sell homes, who actually have to buy and sell homes now, right? Versus who just kind of feel like buying and selling homes, because that is the market we are leaving. Yeah. So now we're going to have to be more intentional. And the best way to be intentional is to build a platform for your business, because we're all independent business owners and we need a place to keep our customers and records of our customers. And, you know, could you imagine a business doing business without any records of who they've done business with, or who they potentially might, you know, it just doesn't make sense. And, you know, if you're an agent, and I didn't touch on this, but if you're an agent who has been selling real estate for a number of years, And we talk to people like this too, don't we, Ed? It's like, I mean,
Scary.
we've talked to like big teams who do not have a database. And you see the struggle, you really do. It's gosh, just think of how much bigger they would be or how much more people they could help if they really were working this at a higher level. But we've talked, if you're an agent who hasn't built this, but you've been in business a really long time, we just kind of coach someone around that. You know, how do you go back and get all of your past clients? I mean, that's the first place to start with. Get all those records and get them into the database, and then get your friends and family and relatives. Like, if anyone needs help on this, I will say Ed is an expert. I've become an expert by default because he's taught me everything. And you know, we really, really preach this on our team. So if anyone needs help or is struggling or just wants a little bit more information, just feel free to respond to this email, and we'll definitely, we would love to have a conversation with you about it, because we know how important it is. So anything else you want to add, Ed?
Nope. Everybody have a wonderful day. And yes, I'm very passionate about this subject and more than happy to help coach people around this.
All right, cool. Well, thank you.
Enjoy.
It's good to see you today. I will see you later.
Yes. Well, that's the plan.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.